The studio lights burned bright, cameras aimed from every direction, but tonight felt different. There was tension in the air, something unscripted, something real. Yaman walked onto the stage, his expression calm, almost too calm, as the host greeted him with the words everyone had been waiting to hear. "Can, the world wants to know what really happened between you and Demet." The audience leaned forward. His name, her name, and the rumors that never died. For years, people had written their story for them, twisting it into scandal and mystery. But now, for the first time, Ken was ready to talk. He took a deep breath, eyes steady on the camera. "You know," he began slowly, "sometimes the hardest part isn't falling in love, it's surviving everything that tries to tear you apart." The room went silent. The host hesitated before asking, "Are you saying someone tried to?" Ken nodded. "Yes. Powerful people. People who didn't want us to succeed. Not as actors, and certainly not as two people who cared for each other." The reaction was instant. Gasps from the audience. The camera zoomed closer. His words weren't vague. They were sharp, deliberate, like a blade cutting through years of silence. "I'll never name names," he continued, "but those who were there, they know. There were meetings, messages, pressures, things said behind closed doors. They thought they could control everything, even emotions." The host's tone softened. Was it jealousy? Politics? Business? Ken gave a sad half-smile. "All of it. When two people become too powerful together, some want to remind you who's really in charge." At that exact moment, Demet Özdemir's face appeared on the studio screen, an old interview clip playing in the background. She was smiling, her voice light, saying, "Love isn't a weakness, it's a risk. But some people are afraid of what they can't control." The timing felt poetic, too perfect. The audience broke into murmurs. The host whispered, "Did you just hear that?" Ken looked at the screen for a long second before answering quietly, "I did. And maybe, she was talking about us." The next few minutes felt like the world stopped spinning. His voice dropped lower, carrying the kind of truth that shakes everything around it. "They told me to walk away. They said my career would suffer if I didn't. But how do you walk away from something that made you believe again?" When the show ended, social media exploded. #KenYaman, #they tried to destroy us, #world in shock, all trending globally within minutes. Clips of the interview spread across TikTok and Twitter. One quote was repeated more than any other, "They tried to destroy us. But you can't destroy something that was real." Demet saw it, of course. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Her friends sent her links, fans tagged her in every post. She didn't respond publicly, but those close to her said she watched the clip several times, in silence, her expression unreadable. Later that night, Kim posted one final message on his story. No caption. Just a black screen and one line of text, "The truth always finds a way." And with that, he disappeared from the spotlight again, leaving the world on fire, asking one question that no one could answer: who were the powerful people he meant? The world didn't sleep that night. By morning, Yaman's words had reached every corner of the internet. "They tried to destroy us," 6 words that shook everything. News anchors debated what he meant, fans theorized endlessly, and magazines printed wild headlines. Who are the powerful people behind Yaman's tearful confession? The love story they tried to erase. Every outlet wanted a piece of the truth. In Rome, Demet Özdemir woke to a storm. Her phone was vibrating non-stop, messages, calls, interview requests. Her agent begged her to issue a statement, but Demet said softly, "Not yet. Let him speak first." Her assistant frowned. "You think he's telling the truth?" Demet looked out the window, her reflection caught in the glass. "I know he is." Meanwhile, in Istanbul, Ken was nowhere to be found. Paparazzi circled his apartment, reporters waited outside the gym he used to visit, but he had vanished. His closest friends said he left the city the night of the interview. Some claimed he was in Cappadocia, others said Rome. Theories flooded the internet. Some believed the powerful people he mentioned were executives who had interfered with his and Demet's relationship during filming, afraid their connection would overshadow the show itself. Others speculated about brands and production companies that had pressured them to keep their distance, turning their love into a secret never meant to survive. Then, out of nowhere, an Italian magazine published unseen photos, taken years ago. The pictures showed Can and Demet together at a secluded cafe near the seaside, smiling, laughing, unaware they were being watched. The headline read, "The love they tried to hide." Within minutes, those photos were everywhere. Fans were crying, journalists were scrambling, and the internet was on fire again. Demet saw them too. She whispered to herself, they kept everything. She remembered that day. How they had left their phones behind, hoping for 1 hour of peace. Later that afternoon, she finally broke her silence. On her Instagram story, she posted a single photo, a candle by the window, flickering in the dark, with the words, "They can erase photos, not memories." The internet erupted once again. Thousands of fans commented, she answered him. It's not over. The war against the silence begins. That night, a Turkish talk show host revealed something even more shocking. We have confirmation that a major network executive was fired the same week Yaman's interview aired. The reason? Confidential information leak. The puzzle pieces started to connect. The powerful people weren't just rumors anymore, they were real. By the next day, Can finally resurfaced online. No interview, no statement, just a photo of the sea with a caption that read, "Some waves never stop coming back." The world understood. This wasn't a story about gossip anymore. It was a story about love, and the price of truth. Behind the scenes, the truth was uglier than anyone imagined. The more journalists dug, the more they uncovered whispers of manipulation, contracts rewritten overnight, and sudden changes to both Can and Demet's careers during the height of their fame. A former assistant from a major network finally spoke off the record. They didn't want them together, she said. It wasn't about jealousy, it was about power. Two actors loved by millions, unstoppable as a pair. That scared people. They needed control. Suddenly, old events began to make sense, that mysterious delay in their joint project, Demet's sudden trip to Italy, Can's abrupt move to Europe. Every coincidence was starting to look like design. Meanwhile, Demet was filming late into the night in Rome, but her mind wasn't on her lines. Between takes, she scrolled through comments, watching fans analyze every clue. One fan wrote, "They tried to bury their story. But love doesn't die, it waits." She stared at the comment for a long time before whispering, "Exactly." Her manager entered, holding a tablet. "You should see this," he said. On the screen was a leaked recording from an industry meeting, a voice, recognizable but unnamed, saying, "Keep them apart. The world's not ready for them together again." The audio spread like wildfire. Within hours, it was the top topic worldwide. For the first time, the world saw proof that Can hadn't been exaggerating. His powerful people were real. That evening, Demet went live on Instagram, something she hadn't done in months. Hundreds of thousands of people joined instantly. She sat in front of the camera, no makeup, no script, just truth. Her voice trembled slightly as she began, "When you try to silence someone's story, you only make it louder. They thought we'd forget, that we'd move on, that time would erase everything. But you can't erase what was real." The comments section exploded. People typed hearts, tears, and words like "finally," and "we believe you." She continued, "We were two people trying to protect something pure in a world that wanted to own it. And maybe we failed. But failure doesn't mean it wasn't love." Somewhere in Istanbul, Can was watching. He didn't comment. He didn't share it. He just smiled quietly and whispered, "She finally said it." Minutes later, he posted a single photo. The same one from years ago, that seaside cafe where everything began, with a caption, "Now the world knows." And just like that, everything changed again. TV programs scrambled to secure interviews. Producers called it the biggest scandal since the beginning of Turkish television. But for the fans, it wasn't scandal, it was vindication. They had always believed in their story, and now, the truth had found its way back to light. The aftermath of Demet's live confession hit like an earthquake. Every news channel, from Turkey to Italy, replayed her words on loop. "You can't erase what was real." Those 7 words echoed across millions of screens, turning whispers into war cries. Yaman's phone didn't stop buzzing. Producers, friends, even journalists who once stayed silent were now reaching out. But he didn't answer anyone. Instead, he booked a one-way ticket to Rome. When he arrived, cameras were already waiting. The streets were chaos, fans shouting, photographers flashing. But Can didn't look at anyone. His focus was only on one thing, finding her. Meanwhile, Demet was back on set, pretending to act while her world fell apart around her. She knew he would come. She felt it before she even saw him. And when he finally walked into the studio, everything stopped. No one said a word. The director froze mid-sentence, crew members lowered their equipment. Demet turned around slowly, her eyes locking onto his. For a moment, time itself seemed to hesitate. He took a few steps closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "You shouldn't have done that live, Demet." Her expression softened, but her voice was steady. "Someone had to tell the truth." "You already did," he said quietly. "Years ago." She looked down, fighting back tears. "You don't get it, Can. They didn't just hurt us, they erased us. I couldn't let that be the end of our story." Can paused, his jaw tightening. "And now?" "Now," she said, "the world finally knows." The silence that followed was louder than applause. Everyone on set knew they were witnessing something beyond acting, 2 people speaking through years of pain. The next morning, the tabloids exploded again, the moment they met again, tears, truth, and love unspoken. Yet, neither of them gave interviews. Neither denied, nor confirmed anything. The truth had already been spoken. Not in words, but in the look they shared. That night, a fan video went viral. It showed Can leaving the studio after their encounter, looking up at the sky and whispering something. The caption read, "He said, it's finally over." But was it? Or had it only just begun? The storm that started with a confession had now become history, a story no one could rewrite, no matter how powerful they were. Weeks passed, and slowly the noise began to fade. The world moved on to new scandals, new rumors, new distractions. But for Can and Demet, something had shifted forever. Can returned to Istanbul quietly, avoiding the press. His days were spent by the sea, walking the same old streets where everything had begun. Reporters tried to follow him, but he stopped talking entirely. "He's done with interviews," one insider said. "He said what he had to say." Demet, meanwhile, stayed in Rome. She continued filming, but those close to her noticed she smiled differently now, not forced, not for the camera, but softly, like someone who had made peace with the past. One evening after filming, she went to the same cafe where they once spent that secret afternoon years ago. The owner recognized her instantly. "Still like your coffee the same way?" he asked. She smiled. "Exactly the same." As she sipped, she pulled out her phone and scrolled through her old photos. Ones no one had ever seen. There was one of Can, blurry, laughing as he held her scarf in the wind. She stared at it for a long moment before whispering, "You were always the calm after every storm." Across the sea, in Istanbul, Can sat on the Bosphorus pier, looking out into the night. He had his phone in his hand but didn't open social media. Instead, he opened his gallery, and there she was. The same photo. The same moment. 2 people, years apart, still connected by a memory that refused to fade. He typed a message but didn't send it. Some stories don't end. They just learn to breathe in silence. He locked his phone and smiled faintly. For the first time, it didn't hurt. A few days later, a film festival in Venice announced its official lineup. Among the featured films, Beyond the Silence, starring Yaman and Demet Özdemir. The world went wild again, but this time, neither said a word. They didn't need to. When the film premiered, the final scene left the audience in tears. Two lovers standing apart, the ocean between them, exchanging a look that said everything words couldn't. And as the screen faded to black, a line appeared, dedicated to the stories that were real, even when the world refused to believe them. When the lights came up, the crowd stood and applauded for minutes. Can and Demet sat side by side, smiling quietly, eyes glistening. They didn't need to speak. The truth had already spoken for them. Outside the theater, cameras flashed, fans screamed their names. But for a brief second, the world slowed down, and in that pause, they shared one last look. It wasn't a beginning, and it wasn't an ending. It was something in between, something eternal.